Okie doke. So hopefully everyone can see that. So what I wanted to go through, sorry, my name is Nerilie Duffy, for anyone who doesn't know me. I'm the Digital Marketing Manager with DIFC, and I also have, I also look after the students who apply directly to DIFC through our website. So I would be involved in counselling students about their options and their applications with DIFC. So what I wanted to talk about today was about budgeting for your studies abroad, because we get a lot of students who you know, think about studying just for the first year and don't think too much about what their budget requirements will be going forward. And what's increasingly becoming the situation is that the visa officers are looking for that evidence of your affordability for your future studies after foundation or pre-masters as part of that visa application process. So it's important to have that in mind and have those discussions with your family or your sponsors when you're going through that application process. Because you know, the studying abroad is a big investment, but it is a very worthwhile investment. But it can run over 5 to 7 years depending on your study plan. So it's not just about affording that first year. So there's a number of different costs that you need to consider. So you'll have your tuition fees, accommodation expenses, but you'll also have your travel and your visa expenses, and then general living expenses during your studies. So, and these will vary depending on where you study. So what I'm going to go through today is the different cost types and talk about the differences between Ireland and the UK in terms of fees and expenses when studying abroad. This will give you a good idea on kind of what budget you'll need to have, and you don't have to have it all in your bank account now, but you need to have the means for obviously paying those expenses in future. If we look at tuition fees, and sorry, I should have said, if anyone has questions throughout, please just use the comment box and I'll get to them at the end probably. So if we look at tuition fees, there's your foundation program, which is the IFY or pre-masters, but then you'll have your university degree as well. And depending on what you're studying, it could be 3 years if you're studying in the UK, but it could also be up to 6 years if you're looking at a medicine degree. So those annual tuition fees will vary. So if we're looking at Ireland, a foundation program costs between €10,000 for kind of smaller limited foundation programs, right up to €18,000 for like a medicine foundation program. Then from an undergraduate course, you can get fees as low as €10,000 per year for some of the private colleges and institutes of technology, right up to $22,000 per year for, you know, normally science, engineering type degrees would be that high. And it's important to note that in Ireland, your undergraduate degree is, your bachelor degree is a 4-year honours degree. Then in terms of masters, the tuition fees can be €11,000 just for a 1-year degree, up to €20,000 for some of the higher ranked universities in Ireland. So when we look at that compared to the UK, the foundation programs in the UK range from £15,000 to £25,000, and the foundation programs I've used are those comparable to the IFY program, so that give you a broad application, a broad university network to apply to. There may be smaller private limited foundation programs available as well that are smaller, but this is comparable to the foundation programs that we offer. From an undergraduate perspective, bachelor degrees are 3 years. Some of them are 4 years, depending, you know, if you do your work placement year. And they are £9,000 up to £22,000, again for your STEM, science and engineering type degrees. And then the masters range between £13,000 up to £25,000. for those, and that's for a 1-year degree. So you can even see just from that initial comparison of tuition fees, even just by choosing to study a foundation program in Ireland, you are saving a decent amount on your studies just by using a foundation program in Ireland. In order to progress to a UK university, you can achieve a good cost saving in that first year. Okay, another option then is medicine. So the medicine foundation program, they range across the board from between €18,000 up to €25,000, and I have seen the odd exception that is even higher. Then the tuition fees vary broadly depending on where you want to study. So in Ireland, with the Irish university partners that we have, it will be between €40,000 up to €58,000 per year for a 5 or 6 year degree. So if you look at RCSI as an example, their tuition fees are now €58,000 per year, and it's a 6-year program for our students. We're currently finalising details with UCC Medicine for an agreement, and we have had some students secure offers for this year, so we're hoping that will continue in future years. And those fees are €40,000 per year, and the UCC medical degree is a 5-year degree. So even choosing your options wisely between a 5 and a 6-year program, again, can achieve you a good cost saving if you know you have a specific budget in mind. So for the UK, the medicine partners we have are a 5-year program, and they're at £40,000 per year. And then we have a much more affordable university options or medical options in our mainland European partners. And their tuition fees are between €12,000 and €19,000 per year. I just see a typo there. And those degrees are 5 years for Queen Mary University of London's multi-campus, but then all the others are a 6-year program. So you can see the differences between the different countries, but also what you need to factor in terms of your study plan budget for the full program, not just foundation. Okay, so if we look at the accommodation expenses, we look at it as a per month basis, and it varies broadly between the types of accommodation, and I'll touch on each of these. So if you look at on-campus accommodation, and in DIFC Dublin there is an on-campus option, you're looking at between €900 and €1,300 per month. Okay, the 900 is for a twin share, so you'll be sharing with another person, and the 1,300 is a private room. In the UK, comparable on-campus options with our partners would be between 400 to 800 per month, and again it depends on whether it's a shared or a private room. So they are very good options because you cut out any requirement for buses and all that sort of thing, and you have the security of being on campus as well. In Ireland, and the UK as well, what has become a popular option for students is the purpose-built student accommodation complexes. And what these are they're relatively new to Dublin, and they've probably been happening open a bit longer in the UK, but they are, you know, brand new, purpose-built, offer fantastic facilities, you know, have cinema rooms, have games rooms, have gyms, everything, all in the one complex, and are specifically designed for students. So there's great social activities as well, and the opportunity to meet students that aren't studying in your school, so you can make a broader friend network outside of your current classmates. These are a little bit more pricey, so they range from €1,100 to €1,300 per month, and they would all be a private room. So the way they are structured is that it's an apartment with, say, 4 to 6 rooms in it. So you have a shared kitchen lounge area, and then you have your own private ensuite lockable bedroom in the apartment. DIFC do work closely with a small number of these complexes in Dublin that are within walking distance of DIFC, and we actually block book rooms with them, so that many of our students would be in apartments with their own classmates and that sort of thing. The same is in the UK, and what I noticed when I was doing my research for this was the budget varies broadly, and it's all down to the type of room. So in the UK, they tend to have more levels, if that makes sense, of the standard of the room. So you can get a room for as little as £500, but you can also pay up to £2,000 for like a suite almost, in a UK student accommodation complex. So again, you can adjust to your budget, the type of room and the standard of the accommodation. A popular option with particularly foundation year students is a homestay. And what a homestay is where you stay with a host family. So they're generally an Irish family. Sometimes they have other children, sometimes they're what we call empty nesters, so people whose family have grown up and moved out. And you can rent a private room with them for between €700 and €800 per month, and they also provide your morning and evening meals here in Ireland. So again, that's a little bit of a cost saving in terms of your food budget. That's included, and the utilities are also included in that. In the UK, it's pretty much the same budget, €500 to €600 when you factor in the exchange rate for a homestay. So that's a good option for potentially for younger students who maybe want to have that little support network at home, and some parents like the option of having a homestay that they have, adults around that they can rely on as well. Then we have the private rental market. Really, this is just a stab in the dark. So in Ireland, it would be more, you'd be renting a room in someone's house, but the rental market in Ireland is very competitive at the moment. There is a shortage of private rental accommodation. So you would be looking to pay between, it could be as low as €550, but it could be up to €1,000 per month for a room in the private rental market. Students that are looking to secure some private rental, I would strongly suggest that when you first arrive in Ireland, you book a homestay, and we can arrange that for you. And that gives you a little bit of breathing space to find some private rented accommodation. And the homestay, it's a month by month, so you can book it just for the month, and after a couple of weeks let them know if you want to stay on again, or say, no, I'm just here for the 4 weeks, and move into your private rental. It just gives you a little bit of something to be a bit of breathing space to find something. In the UK, it's much the same. It's about £500 to £900 to rent a room for a student in the private rental market. Okay, so when we're looking at other expenses, I just wanted to touch on the accommodation for students who study medicine with one of our European partners, particularly like in the Czech Republic, Lithuania, or Hungary. You can expect for accommodation in those countries is usually around 25 to 30% of the cost in Ireland and the UK per month. So a handy comparison is what you would pay per week in Ireland or the UK is generally what you would pay for a month in those countries. So the cost of living in terms of your accommodation and your other living expenses is a lot cheaper in those mainland Europe partners, and that's also reflected in their tuition fees as well. So if we look at the transport costs in Ireland, so the easiest way to get around for students is by public transport, and some students will even buy bicycles and that sort of thing, and there's great cycle lanes and everything like that around Dublin City. So what you can get when we assist students with this when they first arrive is to get a student LEAP card. And what the LEAP card does is it's preloaded with credit, and you just tap in and tap off when you get on any public transport. But it's capped at a certain rate for the student card. So it's €30 per week is the cap. Once you hit that, you won't pay any more on your fares for that week. What this card also gives you access to is a whole lot of discounts in other stores, discount codes. You can show it at some fast food outlets and clothes shops and that sort of thing, and you get student discounts automatically. So it's a great way to get, you know, a bit of cost savings in your other living expenses. Comparably, in the UK, student travel costs would be around £10 upwards per week. And what that depends on is how close you live to the campus. So if you're commuting maybe an hour to your university campus, it's probably going to cost you a little bit more per week. If you're only within a couple of bus stops away, then obviously it's going to cost you no more than around £10 per week. The travel and visas. So obviously you have your flight costs. If you are intending to fly home toward a couple of times during the year, so during Christmas holidays and that, you need to factor in those flight costs as well. But from a visa perspective, in Ireland, the visa costs €100 for your visa application fee. And then once you were in Ireland, you need to register with DIFC, and then you register with the immigration office here to extend your visa, and that costs €300 every year. So if you do the foundation program in Ireland and then continue on to an Irish university, you don't need to reapply for your visa. You just show the visa office your registration at the university, and you pay a €300 application, a registration fee, along with supplying some other documents. So that's the most you'll pay on your visa fees. With the UK, the visa costs vary depending on where you're applying from. So they can be as little as £322, and they can go right up to £839. And then there's the further health surcharge of £150. So the health surcharge, I suppose you'd call it in Ireland, is actually your medical insurance, which is part of your tuition fees. So we arrange that because it's mandatory, and so you don't have that flow on for another surcharge at the visa stage. You've already paid for it as part of your tuition fees. Previously, with the UK, international students applying for UK visas could go to their local post office and upload documents and provide the biometric data there, but they must now attend one of just 6 core centres across the country that offer the free service once they're there, and another 51 that charge a fee starting from £60. So you just need to bear in mind, and information about all of that is on gov.uk if you wanted to find more about the UK visas. So now we're down to the living expenses. These include things like food, utilities, phone, clothes, medical expenses, entertainment expenses. And again, it will broadly vary depending on the individual. So how social you're going to be, how much you're going to eat out, takeaway, or how much you're going to cook at home. So we would place a broad estimate on your other living expenses in Ireland to be around €350 to €500 per month. In the UK, student surveys have placed this around £300 to £400 per month. So it's much the same. Again, if you're in the homestay, your food is, your morning and evening meal is required. So it's just your lunch that you'd be covering. So again, your food costs will go down a good bit with that. If you're going out and dining with friends or going out for social activities, to the cinema and that sort of thing, in Ireland, a movie ticket costs around €10. There are cheaper days, you know, you can go on a student day. Most places have a student day on Tuesday or Wednesday where tickets are like €5 and that sort of thing. So you can get discounts on those sorts of things as well. So just wanted to leave you with this quote. I've gone through a lot of costs, and there's a lot for you to think about and for you to discuss with parents and your sponsors if you have a separate sponsor. But the education is a long-term investment. You're not just paying for the course itself. It's going to stand with you in terms of the career options you have in the future, your salary that you're going to be able to, claim in the future, and it will pay back in dividends. So although you need to be aware of the budget, it is a very worthwhile investment for you to make. And, it will stand with you for the rest of your life, not only in terms of the qualification itself, but the experience of studying abroad, the global friendships you've made. But studying abroad, it makes you more of an independent person, an independent thinker, than students, who may have just stayed at home for all of their studies. So that's all I wanted to leave you with today, in terms of, I just want to see if there's any other questions. So if anyone has any questions about budgeting, I'll just give you a couple of minutes now. Otherwise, I'll get ready and we'll start the visa application workshop in a few seconds. Yeah, I'll just see if anyone else is. Okay. Just saw a question here that related to the last session, but I'll run it through everyone now because it does relate to budgets. Is that can students work during the foundation year? So in Ireland, you cannot work during the foundation year. So from a budgeting perspective, it's very important that you have the funds to support yourself during the first year. You then can work once you progress to an undergraduate or postgraduate degree in Ireland, and you can work up to 20 hours during semester and 40 hours during the summer holidays. So, the financial commitment for covering your living expenses lessens because you'll be able to earn money to cover your living expenses when you're studying at an undergraduate or postgraduate. But for the foundation program and the pre-masters program, you cannot work. So you need to be able to afford the tuition fees, your living expenses, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, so we'll just do a new share.